the President of the United States did today with Obama and Michelle Obama, and just how deplorable and racist this is as a distraction tactic. And I wanted and want to make sure that our audience understands that because you have been choosing us as an escape option, and because you have been complaining for a long time about having this particular thing polluted by the daily realities that are heartbreaking and awful and don't feel very American to anybody who cares about America's or what's supposed to be America's ideals and principles, I have largely sat out over the last couple of exhausting years the daily ability to go after an assortment of awful things that range from pedophilia to state militia killing people in the streets in an America that I do not recognize, okay? And I have largely sat it out, probably still too much for most of you, and in sitting it out, I've got to tell you that silence inside of my skin has made me want to scream. But I have done it because I've heard you. You spoke, and you spoke clearly about this place needs to be a sanctuary, at least a little bit, from all of the other headaches that we have that don't even have to do with our bills, that is daily kind of exhausting and daily kind of depressing. But the cheap way that the President of the United States just went full racist today, not that we didn't know. I mean, I've been wondering, where the hell are the Proud Boys? Where'd they go? Are they in ICE? Like, where are they?
Yes.
Actually, there was a report on that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, where'd they go? Like, the racism is more and more overt over the last few years. The platform seems to be obvious on, oh, we want to make this like Russia. We want to make this just white people. We want to make sure that there's some sort of ethnic cleansing that doesn't look like that. But that's what we're moving toward with immigration and everything else. What he did today on Truth Social, though, as a distraction tactic, just like he went with misogyny, he's being asked about pedophilia by a woman and he's telling her to smile more. Like, the tactics being used are so grotesque. He's using an axe where a scalpel will do. He's using a butchering of subtlety that is not merely offensive, but is deplorable as a distraction technique from all of the other things that he's doing that are dangerous to human lives and dangerous to democracy and dangerous to freedom. I don't know if you guys are just getting a daily kind of exhausted. I don't know how you guys feel about the silence around here that is more than there used to be, although it's not totally silent. I know many of you still have many complaints whenever I do just this, but you know that I've said before to you guys that I'm not a person of political depth. My platforms are decency, equality, and I talk about race a lot. I do talk about race a lot, and now those things are synonyms, race and politics. But what he did today, like, it's not even cleverly done. It's not disguised in a way that it's just there to be offensive.
Caroline Levitt, the White House press secretary, defended this. She said that this is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and Democrats as characters from The Lion King. So please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public. That is bull.
I would love to report on something that actually matters.
I think that was bull.
That was
editorial by me.
That was editorial. You got to say end quote and then that is bullshit.
End quote, that is bull.
Let's try to report on what is actually affecting the American people right now. The fact that this administration has been actively participating in a cover-up protecting billionaires that were very clearly in a child human trafficking ring, and we still have names redacted. The president is named in those files more than Harry Potter is named in the series of Harry Potter books.
Well, it's like 38,000 times or 44,000 times.
Markets crashing everywhere. You're even losing the crypto bros. Nothing is going right. You have a bunch of stuff that people didn't vote for, and they're trying to talk themselves into. You have Americans that are innocently protesting on the street getting gunned down. The world doomsday clock is inching closer to midnight. We have ushered in a whole new world order. I would love to report on those other things. But instead, you go to Truth Social and you post something that in any other time in our country, in any other democratic developed country, would end a political career. It would end it. This is racist. depicting the Obamas as primates is racism. It's an internet meme? Okay, it's a racist internet meme. That's your excuse? This is, beyond troubling. And I think the thing that should trouble us the most is the fact that Steve Bannon, who's also named in the Epstein files and had the courtesy to try to reshape Jeffrey Epstein's image with a weird sit-down, is already saying we need to have ICE at these polling stations. ICE, forget what you think their job is. Their job is to scare you because they're going to be in swing state polling stations, and they're going to try to dissuade an American public that I think now has a surprising vast majority of people saying, I didn't ask for any of this.
I want to play some sound here of Luke Thomas. I really like him as an MMA reporter. There are a handful of people in MMA who are trying to apply some journalistic standards, and I'm going to tie it into what it is that we're talking about here in a second, because he's talking about Pat McAfee, but I can apply some of this criticism to Joe Rogan, because I find Joe Rogan to be a little bit unrecognizable at the moment, and the reason I find it a little unrecognizable is because he's clearly gotten in bed with so much power that he's now corrupted and contaminated. That's not what he used to be, but he's got so many relationships near power, and the job to apply his job to a broad, vast audience of people has some sacrifices in it now when it comes to both ICE and the Epstein files, where what Joe Rogan is saying makes him the sort of opposite of what he's always been, where he's not questioning power, he's become power, and he's aligned with power. And as I said before, if you're reading the Epstein files, any part of it, it's not enough for these rich people to screw everyone else and have everything. Now they have to also screw children. Like, that's unbelievable where we've arrived as a country, that this particular scandal, the way to distract from it is to post racist memes in order to get people to talk about something else and have our government officials tell us that it's fake outrage. But listen to Luke Thomas here on Pat McAfee.
Real journalists, which I'm not saying I am, but I'm saying like people who actually do it, where they have a distant relationship from the league that they cover or the team that they cover, and they do it according to, proven standards and practices that are important for journalism as such. This is a novel concept to him because he doesn't understand the value of that. The value of doing that is not audience generation. He doesn't understand the first thing about the value of what journalism is, what the sacrifice goes into, and why it's not fundamentally about just being on camera. And I realize that sports journalists have blurred the lines. Oh my God, they've blurred the lines. Dude, this guy, let's talk about Pat McAfee for a second. This guy had Nick Khan on his show, and I honestly thought he might fillet him. He did no job whatsoever at fact checking. And then he wants to parade like the town rooster, like he's doing something impressive. That's not impressive. That's the lamest, saddest, most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. In fact, on the Pat McAfee show, they had a graphic in the background about all the wonderful things that changing the Ali Act would do. Dude, he's a stooge for people that want to control sports. If I had a job like that and that was my role in the industry, I'd shut the up about people who have a completely different focus, which is the practice of journalism.
This, by the way, is the Washington Post lets go of a third of its reporters. And the guy who killed the sports department, Will Lewis, is photographed on the NFL red carpet last night, or a couple of nights ago. I guess it would have been last night during their awards ceremony, because the Washington Post can no longer hold truth to power on these things because Jeff Bezos has come in and said, what do I want newspapers for? Why would I want anybody watching me? Why would I want anyone reporting fairly on? Like, this is something that's also true of Dana White. What use would they possibly have for journalism? Why would they want journalism speaking truth to power? The reason that Dana White has his problems with Helwani is because Ariel Helwani is always someone who's an inconvenience to him, reporting things. He just wants propaganda arms and rich people. The way we're moving right now, rich people are going to get all their propaganda arms. They're going to be able to buy all the pieces. I mean, Elon Musk already did. They already have, in many ways, buy all the pieces, end all the pieces that can ever question them on anything so that they continue to work in the shadows. But what the president of the United States did with the Obamas, like, everyone does realize that that's purposely to get you talking about something else, right?
I don't even know how intentional it is because I don't know what kind of frame of mind this guy is because every time I wake up, there's some new crazy thing going on. Honestly, a better excuse would be he's lost his mind. Clearly, he didn't mean it. I would have bought that more than it's an internet meme. What? Look, I promise you this show, for the most part, will be a distraction. I, like Dan, feel conflicted about it. This is bad. No one is benefiting from these policies, especially no one that's listening to this because you're not in that tax bracket. Let's keep this energy during the midterms because they are going to do everything to dissuade people from actually voting in a free and fair election because these policies are so bad for Americans that they are going to try to scare you and keep you dumb.